You've seen Blair Witch. You've seen Paranormal Activity. But what about the ones no one talks about? I went deep into the dark corners of the internet and horror forums to find some of the lesser-known found footage films out there. The kind of movies that didn't hit theaters, but still crawl under your skin. Some were surprisingly brilliant. Some were borderline unwatchable. And one or two, I honestly wish I hadn't found at all. I've always loved horror. Found footage especially is one of my go-to. But it's hard to pull off. Often shaky, slow, and repetitive. But when it works, it really works. Films like Host, 2020, prove that with a simple concept and sharp execution, found footage can be incredibly effective. So I went into Don't Peek, 2025, with low expectations, and was genuinely surprised. The film follows Paris and Rebecca Winter, a YouTube couple whose marriage is unraveling under the pressure of content creation. After moving into a new house, they find a sealed box of old VHS tapes left by the previous tenant. Turns out, he was a serial killer named Mr. Peek, who recorded not only his crimes, but his descent into believing the victims were haunting him. Seeing a chance to revive their struggling channel, the Winters start reacting to the tapes on YouTube. The views spike, but so does the tension in their home and in their marriage. What really elevates this film is the character of Mr. Peek, played with chilling subtlety by Robbie Allen. He's less of a traditional killer and more of a cursed observer, obsessed with repetition and ritual. The line, "You shattered my closed loop," ties into a larger metaphor about cycles, not just of violence, but of content and consumption. There are even subtle nods to Sleep No More, an immersive theater experience built around repeating loops. The VHS footage is well done, capturing that analog horror vibe, static glitches, surreal visuals, cryptic audio. Scenes like the slideshow of disturbing images or the ghostly dinner table hit hard. There's clear intention behind the horror here, even if the budget sometimes holds it back. That said, it's not without flaws. The Winters' performances feel stiff at times, and their YouTube reaction segments often fall flat. Some practical effects, like a fake baby covered in clearly not blood, totally undercut key moments. A few scenes feel unnecessary or tonally confused. Still, there's depth here. The parallel between Paris and Mr. Peek, one ignored, one overexposed, adds a strong thematic layer. Director Kyle Tague clearly put a lot of thought into this, and it shows. 7 out of 10. Not perfect, but far better than expected. Don't Peek is a flawed, fascinating entry in the found footage genre, especially for fans of analog horror and cursed media stories. Now, before we continue with the video, I'd like to note that all of the movies featured on this list will have a spot in the description on where to watch them. Also, while I'm here, consider hitting that subscribe button. I've noticed only a small percentage of viewers that watch my videos are actually subscribed. It only takes a second, and I promise you won't regret it. Now let's get back to the list. If you've ever wondered what it's like to watch your worst claustrophobic nightmare unfold in real time, this is it. Let's talk about The Tunnel, a 2011 Australian found footage horror film that takes place in the abandoned underground tunnels beneath Sydney. The premise? A TV news crew goes down there to investigate a government cover-up involving a homeless population suddenly vanishing. They bring cameras, they bring gear, they don't bring a plan. And guess what? They don't come back the same. The setup is strong. At first, the film is presented as a mockumentary, switching between recovered found footage, interview segments with the survivors, static-filled security cam shots. It creates a real-world tone that's kind of brilliant. For the first 30 minutes, it feels like a real documentary. The acting is surprisingly grounded. The tension builds slowly but effectively. But once the descent begins, it gets darker, literally and figuratively. But let's be brutally honest, it's a mixed bag. What works? The location is terrifying. Tight corridors, pitch black hallways, crumbling concrete. It feels like the walls are closing in. The sound design is minimal and effective. Every echo and drip adds to the paranoia. The creature design is subtle. They don't show you much, and that makes it scarier. At least the first time. What doesn't work is the pacing issues. After a while, it drags. The buildup is intense, but the payoff is drawn out and too safe. There are long chunks where basically nothing happens. The interview segments sometimes kill the tension. You already know who survives. It spoils the stakes before the danger even starts. The creature threat never fully evolves. You don't get lore, you don't get motive, just shaky cam chases and screaming. And honestly, the ending fizzles. It doesn't land with the impact you're hoping for. It feels like it's missing that one scene. You know the one, that unskippable viral horror moment, like Hell House's clown scene or Grave Encounter's door slam. Tunnel doesn't really have that. It builds fear effectively, but it never hits the note that makes you text your friends, "You need to watch this." Instead, it ends, and you think, that was fine? My final thoughts: the tunnel had all the right ingredients, an amazing location, a clever format, and a grounded realism you rarely see in found footage. But it plays it too safe. It's tense, but not terrifying. Creepy, but not memorable. Worth a watch? Yeah. But a hidden gem? Not quite. There's a fine line between low-budget horror and no-effort horror. Char Man trips over that line, face first, into a pile of cliches. Let's talk about Char Man, a 2019 found footage film based on a California urban legend about a ghostly, burned figure who haunts the woods near Ojai. Sounds promising, right? Creepy folklore, rural setting, urban legend horror. But the execution? Yikes. The premise tries, but fumbles immediately. Two amateur filmmakers head into a haunted area to make a documentary about the Char Man, a supposedly real ghost who was burned alive decades ago. They interview locals, they snoop around abandoned cabins, they argue a lot, they film everything, which is exactly the problem, because what they captured isn't so much terrifying as it is painfully boring. Let's be brutal, the film doesn't know what it is. Char Man tries to blend mockumentary, found footage, and indie horror all at once, but none of it sticks. The characters are shallow and unlikable, which would be fine except we're stuck with them talking for nearly the entire runtime. The mockumentary parts are tonally confused. One moment they're cracking jokes, the next they're delivering deadpan exposition like it's a middle school ghost report. And the dialogue, it's like watching people pretend to improvise. It wants to feel natural, but it just feels awkward. So what about the scares? They're few and far between, and when they do show up, they're cheap. Flickering lights, rustling branches, screaming in the distance, and a third act reveal that feels like someone Googled how to end a found footage movie. The Char Man himself, he gets maybe 2 minutes of screen time, and when he finally shows up, he looks like a guy in a Halloween costume covered in shoe polish. This is supposed to be a terrifying local legend, not the opening act at a haunted hayride. Production-wise, to be fair, it's not technically terrible. The camera work is solid, the locations are atmospheric, and the idea of basing a horror film on local urban legends is actually great. But you still have to do something with it. And Char Man just doesn't. My final verdict, Char Man is the kind of found footage movie that makes you check how much time is left. Not because you're scared, but because you're bored. If you're desperate for something vaguely spooky to throw in the background, fine. But if you're looking for a legit scare or even a decent story, this one should have stayed buried. Not all of these films were good. Some were hidden gems, others hidden for a reason. But that's the beauty of found footage. Even the worst ones feel like you weren't supposed to see them. And every once in a while, you stumble on something so raw, so unsettling, it sticks with you for days. Drop a comment if you've seen any of these, or if there's a weird, obscure found footage film that you think deserves to be dug up. I've got more coming soon, some better, some way, way worse. So hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell because the deeper I go, the weirder the tapes get.